Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host. And if this is your first time tuning in, then this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their business, personal, or career life. And the way in which we help individuals do that is by speaking with entrepreneurs, business owners, and really just movers and shakers in their industry, and really walking through their story of how they got from point A to point B and overcame various adversities, setbacks, and failures along the way. We also do that by hosting solo Next Level Minds episodes called Motivation Monday, which is actually what this episode is about. And then we also have a newsletter, the Next Level Minds newsletter, that is released right now on about a 3 to 4 week basis, where we talk about faith, family, fitness, finances, and American freedoms that we have in this amazing, fantastic country. So if you want to dive deeper into the content, subscribe to the Next Level Minds newsletter. The link will be listed below in the show notes. Additionally, I also post quite a bit on LinkedIn and Instagram. So you can follow me at Chris Chap, or you can go on LinkedIn, because my Instagram is Chris Chap. You can go on LinkedIn and just type in Chris Chapman, Next Level Minds, and my profile should go up. You can hit me with a follow. Again, I post 3 times a week on LinkedIn, multiple times a week on Instagram, and then we have that newsletter that comes out on a monthly basis. Anyway, I'll stop yabbering here and dive into this week's episode, which is a Motivation Monday series solo episode. And what I want to talk about today is the topic of tasting your dreams. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because I see a lot of people who unfortunately aren't living their dream life, right? But you have the option to live your dream life. It's completely up to you and your habits and your routines and your behaviors and your decisions as to if you want to live your dream life or not, right? And I think it's very important when you have dreams, right? Whether it's the car, the house, the income, the vacations, whatever you're aspiring to be from a dream standpoint, I think it's very imperative to taste these dreams, right? So I'm going to go through a couple of steps in which I have taken in my life to taste my dreams. Some of these dreams I have now acquired in my life, and these dreams that were once my dreams 5 years ago are now just part of my daily life, right? Like the house that I live in now, it was my dream about 4 or 5 years ago to live in this style house in this location. The car I drive right now, which I'll touch on that in a bit, I've wanted since I was 15 years old, right? Nothing fancy, Toyota 4Runner with some all-terrain tires on it and a sunroof, charcoal gray kind of black color with leather interior. Like I've literally wanted that car since I was 15 years old. Recently just bought that car, right? So, but that all came from tasting my dreams, right? And some topics and steps and procedures that I'll touch on in today's episode. So I think the first and honestly most important step is to actually decide what your dreams are. Right? You can't hit a target if you haven't defined it. You can't get to a location if you don't have directions, right? You can't just fill up your car with gas, start driving, and eventually get to a destination that you want to be, right? Similar to going on a road trip. You fill your car up with gas, right? Those are, I guess, metaphorically the habits, the routines, the behaviors. And then you decide, okay, where am I actually going to go? All right, well, if I want to drive from Charleston to Jacksonville, that's going to be like 4.5 hour drive. All right, here's the GPS. Here's how to get there. Boom, let's go, right? Same with your life. You need to actually decide what your dreams are, right? Paint the picture. Ask yourself some questions like, what does your dream really look like? The house, the car, the income, the family dynamic, the business you run, the career you have, the clothes you're wearing, the location in which you're living in, the vacations that you take, right? I might have already said that one, right? But like, what does your dream life actually look like, right? And I'm going to read out some of my dream life. I actually have it pulled up on my phone, and I have it written in my journal that a good friend of mine, Brian Miller, gave me. But going into my ideal life, right? It's, having a family and being a father that is present with my wife and kids, right? And teaching my future kids the values of hard work, discipline, determination, right? And being the example for them. Another dream is just to continue to be a great husband for Jacqueline, right? One that sets the vision and direction for our family. Another dream I have, and I currently live in Charleston, South Carolina, so very blessed to do so. But another dream I have is to have a beautiful 4,000 to 5,000 square foot house on the water in Charleston with a nice boat and a dock and open concept living with a golf simulator, a gym, open concept kitchen with a 4-car garage, right? Another dream I have is just to continue to have a stronger and stronger relationship with Jesus. Another dream I have is to run my own profitable company in an industry that I'm passionate about, right? Taking Next Level Minds, the concept of just a podcast and coaching and speaking and writing books, right? Kind of turn this personal brand into a full-time endeavor down the road. Another one is just having multiple 6-figure incomes per month coming into my bank account, right? Having $100,000 coming into my bank account from my business every single month, right? That's like a 10 to 15 year goal of mine, which again would equate to about 7 figures in income from my business, right? A strong personal brand that makes an impact on others, well-known podcast, author, speaker, right? I'm just going to name one more, and that's just being 185 pounds with 10% body fat, right? So I'd be gaining like 15 more pounds of muscle. Again, I'm just naming out, it's much longer, but I definitely want to save you guys the time. But you see the point here, right? I've decided what my dreams, aspirations, long-term vision is, and that's the first step, right? And a lot of times I get the question of like, oh, well, how did you create that? Well, I'm constantly journaling. I'm constantly spending time in reflection, whether that's through my morning routine, whether that's through just driving my car by myself with no music and honestly just thinking about what's my longer term goals. Or that could just be going on a 5 or 10 minute walk with no distractions and starting to think about these questions of like, all right, it's what, April 22nd is when we're recording this. Okay, what I want my life to look like April 22nd, 2029, right? 4 years from now. And just asking yourself these questions. What do you want your life to look like? And I'm of the belief where if you don't take your time to build your dream life, and don't take the time to think about your dream life, somebody will hire you to build theirs, right? So in order to actually build your dream life, you have to take that first step of deciding what dream life means to you, right? I hope your definition of a dream life is completely different than mine because we all have different dreams, aspirations, goals, etc. So don't just write out a dream because you think that's what you want. Like truly write out that dream because that is what you want, not because somebody else wants that for your life. Now that you've decided what your dream is, then you have to jump into the visualization side of things, right? Like your brain responds to what you feed it. Start feeding your brain the future, right? Start putting the vision of what you want your life to look like into your subconscious mind. And the more that you can put your vision of your future into your subconscious mind day after day after day, the more that you will start to act in alignment with the future version of yourself, right? And there's been a study from the University of Chicago that found that athletes who visualize shooting free throws actually improve nearly as much as those who just practice physically. So the people that just visualize themselves increasing their free throw percentage and getting better, increase their percentage accuracy by 23%, did not physically practice at all throughout this study. All they did was visualize. And then the people that actually got 24% better were the ones that just practiced every single day. But like what's super crazy about this study is that they improved 23% simply from visualization, right? Literally no practice, just visualization, right? Again, visualization helps program the subconscious mind to take aligned action with what you want. There's practical ways to do this, right? You can do it in the morning. You can do it at nighttime. I personally like doing it in the morning before work. And then I personally like doing my visualizations like 1 or 2 minutes right before bed to be that vision, the last thing that I think about. Also, for those of you who follow me, I have my desktop as my vision board. I got multiple pictures on my phone. Like I'm constantly looking at my dream life. And then also just writing thoughts down in a journal, right? Writing down that feeling of pulling into your 4-car garage in that house on the water, right? If that's what you want, or, writing down that feeling of selling your first business, if that's what you want, right? Like practical ways to do this. It just takes a couple minutes a day, but the benefits are extremely, extremely impactful. Like the Forerunner I just bought, I visualized like myself pulling out of the car dealership, visualized, turning on this song, visualized driving back home, pulling into the driveway, like literally the exact visualization I have had over the last few years of buying the car, driving the car, pulling into the driveway, all those great things was almost damn near identical, exactly how it pictured, right? And same with, I fortunately qualified for our winner circle sales trip, right? By hitting a certain sales metrics and achieving my quota and all that great stuff. But before I hit that trip, like I visualized our awards dinner and like the suit I had on and taking pictures with my wife, Jacqueline, and the food that I was eating, and like deeply visualized this happening. And what's crazy is I achieved winner's circle, and like subconsciously, I had the same suit on, the same meal. Like it's crazy, right? So it's like visualization truly does work. And if you need some more proof, try visualizing some of your goals for like 6 months straight and tell me and report back exactly what happened, and you will definitely be impressed. The third thing is to spend money to taste the dream, right? Like exposure creates expansion in your mind. A lot of people, including myself, like you have dreams, but they've never happened before, right? Like I've never lived in a 5,000 square foot house on the water with a $200,000 boat out back, right? I've never flown private before. That's something I want to do from a dream standpoint. I've never made, more than 7 figures a year, right? Like I've never done a lot of these things that are my dream. I've never written a book. I've never, spoke on stage with 10,000 people watching me, right? Like all of these dreams that I have, right? But you can get small little samples of your dream, right? Like recently I booked a one night at a 5-star resort in Mexico. This was actually after our winter circle trip. My wife and I, we extended a night on our own dollar at a different resort down the road. Ended up spending like $1,100 on this room, right? Which is significantly higher than I normally spend when it comes to hotels. However, this was like a 2,500 square foot room with a private pool. I mean, it was like top of the line, one of the nicest, probably the nicest resort I've ever stayed in. But to me, it was extremely worth it because I really didn't touch my phone much the whole time I was there. And just sat outside by the pool with Jacqueline and like just kind of talked about and visualized and just thought through, okay, like this is what I want my life to look like in 10 years. Like I don't just want to spend one night at a 5-star resort, once a year. I want to be able to go on multiple 5-star resort style vacations wherever I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want, and have money really not be a factor, right? So like soaking in that visualization. Same with, the car. Like I test drove this car before I bought the car, right? And like experienced the seats, the steering wheel, the sunroof, like fully experienced this vision, right? I not only test drove the car I bought now, but like multiple other friends, Forerunners and things like that, really just to like taste that dream, right? Same with restaurants, right? Like I want to be able to get to the point where, because I'm very like money conscious right now, just because I have very big financial goals and I want to make sure just to hit all my investing targets and savings targets and, buy more stocks and real estate and things like that. So it's like, I have fun, I spend money, I go out to eat, right? But like, I am still fairly conscious. I want to get to the point where I can just go to a restaurant and be like, you know what? I want, this tuna as an appetizer, this shrimp as an appetizer, this Wagyu beef for an entree, and, this $400 bottle of wine to go with it, right? Like I could do that now, right? But it's definitely not fiscally responsible. Like I want to get to the point where I can just do that and it doesn't matter because I already have all my investments unlocked, real estate unlocked, the business is cash flowing, all this stuff. So sometimes I will go to a restaurant and order maybe a little bit more expensive than I normally would, or buy a slightly nicer bottle of wine, or, instead of a $15 cocktail, maybe get a nicer bourbon to have a $28 cocktail, right? And like slowly taste these dreams, right? So encourage you guys out there, whatever your dream is, whether it's the house, the car, the vacations, the business, whatever your dreams are, think about how you can actually go taste those dreams, right? And then action item on this is go pick one thing you can do at some point this month or next month to taste those dreams. My next thing that I'm going to do from a taste your dream standpoint is just look at any open houses that may be in Charleston for any like 4,000 or 5,000 square foot houses. Not that I could buy one of those anytime soon. However, that is my goal in the next like 10 years to be able to buy that 4,000 or 5,000 square foot house on the water. So I want to go ahead and taste those dreams, even though they're probably 10, maybe 12 years down the road. But go ahead and taste that dream of what it feels like to walk in that house, to see that view, to sit down at that table, to, just experience that dream. So definitely encourage you all to do that. The fourth point here is learning from people who have already achieved what you want, right? Success leaves clues. So you've heard it here multiple times on the Next Level Minds podcast, so I'm not going to harp on this too much, but surround yourself with others who are a few steps ahead of you, right? Like going back to that first point that I made when we first started recording, where do you want to be with your dreams in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Find somebody who's 3 years ahead of you and learn from them. Talk to them. What are your habits? What are your routines? What are your behaviors? Where do you vacation? Where do you go out to eat, right? Like what embodies you, right? When Leonardo DiCaprio took on the role of Jordan Belfort in Wolf of Wall Street, he followed Jordan Belfort, like the real Jordan Belfort, around for, I want to say like at least a year. And throughout that time, he followed his every move, like his habits, his routine, how he talked, what he did, what he didn't do, what he ate, right? And he was pretty dang good in the movie, right? Like same with people with your dreams, like surround yourself with people who have the life that you have, right? And there's even easier ways to do this, right? You can listen to podcasts, read books, attend events, invest into mentors, into coaches. There's multiple ways to do this, right? Like for me, I have a couple people in my network that we meet with, that go to coffee or lunch with or play golf with, that are like anywhere from 5 to 15 years ahead of where I want to be, right? I don't see those people all the time because frankly, they're extremely busy. I'm extremely busy as well. So we don't really hang out as much as I'd like. However, there's podcasts, there's books. Like I listen to podcasts multiple times a week. I read pretty much every single day. I watch YouTube videos, like learning from others. Dive in, learn from others. Lastly, is just there's multiple ways to taste your dream, right? But like you really have to decide what you want. Then you got to visualize those dreams. Then you got to go out and spend money to taste the dream, right? Go to the restaurant, go to the hotel, go to the open house, like taste that dream of yours so that it's dream to reality. That comes from tasting the dreams with the visualization. And then I think the last thing here is just take some action on what I've told you, right? Go taste your dream today. Go decide what your dream is. Go visualize the dream. I'm of the belief, because a lot of people will ask me, why do you work so hard? Well, listen, you have one life, right? So if you have one life, why would you not try to create this life into the exact life that you've always dreamt of, right? However, that takes deciding what you want, visualizing, tasting the dream, learning from people, working hard, right? So go out there, take some action today. You have one life. Let's make the most of it. Lastly, if you got some value out of this episode, share this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, guys. I'm almost at 100 reviews. I got like 90-something reviews. If we get 100 reviews, we'll continue to climb up on the business category in which this podcast is listed under. Then feel free to tag me on socials, right? Like if you create a vision board, tag Chris Chap on Instagram. Or if you're tasting your dream, tag me as well, right? Like I want to be with you while you're deciding what your dreams are, visualizing your dreams, tasting your dreams, right? We all have one life. Let's rise up. Let's live it to the fullest. And shortly, let's have a fantastic week ahead. Thank you guys for tuning into this week's episode, and I hope everyone has a great week and taste their dreams.